There was no additional beef last night between Paul George, Pat Bev, and Dame as the newly masked Kawhi and the Clippers routed the Blazers yesterday, 128-105. LA held Lillard to 0 for 8 from 3. Here's Kawhi talking about his new accessory.
Did your teammates give you a hard time at all about the mask?
I mean, it's hard to breathe in that mask. Yeah, so hopefully this could help me out in the future. But I mean, yeah, I get they start calling me Leatherface and stuff, but Serge can't talk too much. We got him on a trading block right now, so whoever wants him, let us know. We're trying to trade Serge.
Now, Perk, obviously Serge is obviously not on the trading block. He was kidding around, which I think is funny because, look, Kawhi is supposed to be a fun guy, right? That's what we've heard about him. Mm-hmm. But the mask, whose mask? Who wore it better? The all-time mask man, Richard Hamilton, or Kawhi Leonard?
Oh, it's Richard Hamilton. I mean, like, he set the trend. Like, that matched him. When you thought of when you thought of him, you knew that his mask, when he had that mask on, he was going to be on the tap. I don't know what that was Kawhi had on, but whatever it was he had on, he was on the mission. The mask worked because I haven't seen Kawhi this intense in a long time. And he's a phenomenal basketball player. But, George, I guess it was the mask, but he was on a mission last night. He was on the mission. So if he's going to play like this, wearing that ugly mask, then if I'm Ty Lue, I'm going to tell him, you got to keep this on.
Yeah, I'm with you wholeheartedly. And yeah, Rip Hamilton is the all-time masked man in the NBA. Although we were talking about LeBron earlier. Remember, LeBron wore that black mask back in the day with the Heat when he busted his nose that one time. He looked like, something out of like a cartoon type movie, like a superhero movie. But anyway, Let's move on to the game, Perk. The Clippers are now 4-1, including a win over the Lakers and LeBron James, including a win over Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets. And now the Blazers, 3 of the top teams in the Western Conference. They do have that 51-point loss to Dallas, which is their only blemish. But what kind of statement did the Clippers make last night?
They made a huge statement with all the riffraff that was going on between the Blazers and the Clippers. I thought the Clippers took this game personal and they wanted to send a message, and they did just that. From the jump, they set the tone. They approached this game like it was a playoff game. They were into the Blazers' airspace. They were contesting shots, making them miss, not hoping that they missed. And on the other end, they were attacking. They were attacking downhill. They were getting out, playing with great pace. They were tied on the string. And this is the Clippers team that we have been wanting to see. They look fun. They was fun to watch last night. You could tell Ty Lue is preaching team ball because they're passing up good shots to get great shots. This is the Clippers team that I've been expecting, and they looked phenomenal last night. I got to give credit where credit's due.
I'll say this. I thought you brought up a great point about Kawhi specifically, just kind of his demeanor. I think the team in general this season has a different demeanor so far, Perk. Outside of that one ridiculous game against the Mavericks, I mean, they look like they are all business so far this season. Is that a fair assessment?
That is a fair assessment, and especially Paul George. He has been playing phenomenal right now. Like, if you had to take 5 guys that will be in the MVP conversation for the first week of the NBA season, Paul George's name should be mentioned. And he's doing a lot of things. I'm watching his playmaking ability. We all know that he could put the ball in the basket, but the way that he's using the pick and roll, throwing lobs to Big Zubac at the rim, and facilitating for others. I mean, when you look at guys like Nicholas Batum, who seems like to me he is having fun, and I'm watching him play. We haven't seen him play at this level in a long time. He's defending at a high level. He's knocking down shots. Bev is doing what Pat Bev do. It's just, hey, they wanted Ty Lue. Ty Lue is there, and it seemed like a big change. I hate to say it.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think there's any question. The Batum thing is going to be big for them, too. So far, to your point, he has played his role perfectly. All right, coming up next, despite coming up short against the Brooklyn Nets last night, did the Hawks validate their place in the East? All right, time for Make Miss, Make Precision. LeBron working out of the post. Hooks a no-look pass to KCP in the corner. Nick, how many guys in the league can make that pass?
The guy is unbelievable, George. I'd say like one. Because every time he makes one of these passes, you go, yep, that's the guy who can do it. He never gets enough credit for the passing ability that he does have.
Perk?
Well, I believe it's two. It's three guys that can make that pass.
Okay.
It's LeBron, it's Luka, and it's playoff Rondo. We cannot leave Rondo out of this. There's three guys in the league that can make those type of passes.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, next, Miss Beef. Third quarter, Bucks Heat. Giannis and Chris Middleton having a little heated conversation over a defensive breakdown earlier in the quarter. And then on the next possession, Middleton finds Giannis for the alley-oop right here. Take a look. Boom. Perk, is that an encouraging sign for Milwaukee as they hash things out?
Absolutely. You don't want guys over there sharing popsicles together, George. You want guys getting on one another because it shows one thing. Guess what? They care about winning. They care about messing up on defensive on the defensive end, and I love that. If you care, that shows a lot.
A little fight in a relationship isn't bad, guys. It's a sign of growth and health. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, wholeheartedly, no doubt. All right, next, Make Authority. Staying in Miami, check out this dunk on the break here by Kendrick Nunn. Kana with the stuff. And then back to San Antonio where DeMar DeRozan gets way up. Hello. Perk, which one was better?
DeMar DeRozan, because here's why. You dunked on Montrezl Harrell, a guy who talks a lot of noise, brings a lot of tenacity, a guy who finished top 10 in protecting the basket last year, and you got to roll with DeMar DeRozan. Although Kendrick Nunn dunk was nice, we got to roll with DeMar DeRozan on this.
Shout out, by the way, to the Heat Instagram where they said Kendrick Nunn posterized Bobby Portis, and then they said we're going to include his signature, and they superimposed Kendrick Nunn's signature on the post, which was awesome.
That's so petty.
All right, Miss Traction. Hawks Nets. Kyrie breaks John Collins' ankles here. Oh, hello. Nick. Ever seen such a casual ankle breaker?
The guy can do that just about as well as anybody. Steph's got the best handles, George, but Kyrie breaks a hell of a lot of ankles through the year. He's awesome at that move.
Well, I have to disagree with you on that one, Nick. Steph don't have the best handle. Kyrie Irving has the best handle, and that's why we just saw him do what he do. There's no other player that could slice and dice through the lane like that and just finish below the rim, but his handles are on a different level.
Yeah, his handles.
Kyrie and Steph at All-Star Weekend. That's what we need.
Yeah, we do need that. Let's run it back to Kyrie's best moves. By the way, shout out to Tim Hardaway, who broke a lot of ankles back in the day. Honorable mention, because it wasn't an actual game, Kyrie on Brandon Knight in the Rising Stars Challenge. Oh, hello. Poor Brandon Knight. He had that DeAndre Jordan thing, too. Remember that? Look at that.
That's what you call yanking.
Yeah. Good Lord, man. Nice shoes, though, Brandon Knight. And Kyrie, for that matter. Look at that. All right, number 5. Kyrie on Thabo Cephalosha back in 2014. This is young Kyrie. More young Kyrie. Hello. Stop. Pop. Nice and easy.
See ya.
Next.
The way that he's able to stop on the dime and still keep that handle is just a beautiful thing to see.
No doubt. Look at it on Tayshaun Prince here.
Wow.
I mean, listen, Tayshaun Prince, one of the greatest defenders we've seen in a generation, right? Like, he was an excellent defender, and he made him look silly there. That doesn't happen very often to Tayshaun Prince.
I mean, he went double behind the back, stopped on the dime, came back between the legs with a pull-up. Oh,
here's another one against another great defender, Avery Bradley, who was a first-team All-Defender at one time. Still an excellent defender. Check that second team.
I mean, George, and that's a great point. Listen, he's doing this against great defenders, elite defenders. He dribbles so low to the ground, I don't know how he's able to keep it on the handle like that.
And Willie Green, Green, who's now a coach for Monty Williams. And this is probably the moment he realized, I need to be a coach.
George, you realize how much work has to go in to make these moves? That's the coolest part to me.
And then against
Kyrie to have all these years worth of moves, it's unbelievable, and it's a ton of work.
And speaking of all those moves and a ton of work, against the entire Spurs team here in 2015, He had 57 in that game. Look at Bellinelli.
But
Oh, man.
I had front row tickets to that game, George. I actually was on the bench that game. Wasn't getting playing time, but I was right there to see that 57 points by Kyrie Irving.
You got a front row seat to that crazy, crazy game. That is wild. All right, Kyrie's nice moves was one of many in the night last night in Brooklyn. The Nets survived the Hawks, and Trae Young had 30 points with a 145-141 win for the Nets. Kyrie and KD combined for 33 in the fourth quarter alone to hold on for that particular win, and the pace was almost too much for Nets coach Steve Nash to handle. Let's take a listen.
As a young coach, it's hard when you can't impact the game the way you're used to impacting it. So, but the guys hung in. That's the number one thing. I mean, you're not always going to win the way we want to win. Holding teams down tonight, we couldn't stop them, but we finally got enough stops to let our offense get going. And I definitely need a beer.
You may need a lot of beers when you're coaching in the NBA, Steve. Get used to that. All right, Perk, who are you more impressed by, the Nets holding on or the Hawks pushing them to the limit?
The Hawks pushing them to the limit. I had the Hawks making the playoffs this year, but I think they're going to be a dangerous out in the Eastern Conference, and I wouldn't be surprised if they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Trae Young is unguardable. They have a lot of firepower offensively, and now they have a leader. They're well coached, but they have a leader in playoff Rondo. And once this team continue to keep building and going in the right direction, come playoff time, they are going to be dangerous and they're going to be scary. And no one is going to want to see this young Hawks team.
George, KD and Kyrie are unbelievable. They are so much fun to watch. But I'm looking at these games and I'm looking at that game last night. I'm thinking, where the hell is the defense in the league? Why is there nobody playing lockdown defense the way we've seen in years past? Why are all these scores so unbelievably high all the time? So for as much offensive talent as there is, and as fun as Trae Young is to watch play, and KD when he's healthy and rolling like he is, why can't the defense come in, and when's it going to be happening at some point this season?
Yeah, for sure. By the way, I'm with Perk on this as far as the Hawks are concerned. It's funny, Perk, because they kind of again, different makeup. But when you said hard out, right, or tough out in the first round, it reminds me of that Boston team that faced an Atlanta team that got pushed to 7 in the first round. Like, I feel like this team has that kind of upside, that kind of capability, because we didn't know the baby Hawks back then with Josh Smith and Joe Johnson and that particular group. Al Horford, right, was on that team. Jeff Teague. We didn't know what they were going to be. They eventually were a team that got to the Eastern Conference Finals and faced LeBron James and company. But we saw kind of that first iteration that year, and I think this Hawks team can be something like that. Do you agree, Perk?
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. Look, with the additions that they added for us getting Bogdanovich and the growth of Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter, and now they have Clint Capella, who's a guy that could grab all the rebounds and block shots, and Collins. Collins is so underrated, and the good thing about Collins is that he's playing for something. He didn't get the contract extension. He has a chip on his shoulder. But I'm going to tell you, Trae Young is a top 5 player right now in the NBA. He cannot be guarded. You talk about Steph Curry, but this guy is Steph Curry 2.0, in my opinion, because of his